Welcome back everyone. Now, to start off this video, I'd like to point out that all of you guys watching should be very grateful because we're currently living through a period in human history known as the Scientific Revolution. You see, times were very different only a couple hundred years ago. There once lived a man from Italy named Giordano Bruno. One day, Giordano gazed up at the stars, and mesmerized by their beauty, he wrote, "There are therefore innumerable suns, and there are infinite earths that equally revolve around these suns." Of course, we now know that he was right. They should have given him something nice for this, like an estate or something, I don't know. But no, instead what they did was they burnt him alive. But now, with the help of science and just slightly bigger brains, we can live perfectly comfortable lives with the help of the many inventions from the great names that came before us. Inventions such as the smartphone, the automobile, and in 1796, thanks to a very smart man from England, we were introduced to a revolutionary kind of medicine, the first vaccine. From that point on, we'd go on to develop many more vaccines, but just like any other kind of medicine, they take a really long time to develop. Because when something's put into your body, you want to make sure it's like safe, you know? So it takes years and years. It took 16 years for us to find the vaccine for hepatitis B, 22 years for HPV, 105 years for typhoid for some reason, and we haven't even found the vaccine for AIDS yet. But recently, something incredible happened. In fact, it sounds almost fake given the data I just showed you. But on the 24th of January 2020, a man from Germany, son of Turkish immigrants and co-owner of the pharmaceutical company BioNTech, was reading an article about a mysterious new virus in Wuhan, China. From that moment on, Ugur Sahin, along with his wife, dedicated themselves to eradicating this virus once and for all by developing the first commercial vaccine. And boy, did they deliver! Eventually, BioNTech partnered up with Pfizer. Fast forward to November of that year, and BioNTech's head of research, Catherine Jansen, gets a phone call from Pfizer's CEO. Turns out the vaccine was 95% effective. Only a year after COVID was discovered, the first vaccine started rolling out in America. And now, most countries, like the one I live in, have reached herd immunity. Now, this vaccine uses a completely new technology because it takes advantage of this thing called mRNA. Now, this video won't be about mRNA. If you want a video on it though, just let me know. Instead, I want to talk a bit more about the root cause of this pandemic. It's almost as if some virus randomly appeared in a market one day in China and got a lot of people fired. So in that very market where the coronavirus was traced back to, what even happened? Unfortunately, this discussion is almost more philosophical than it is scientific. Something we have to understand is that viruses in nature are really, really weird. They're not even living creatures. They can't reproduce on their own. They're just a bit of RNA covered in some protein. And look what they've done. No matter how much our medicine advances, viruses will probably always be there. They have no motive. It's not like they're trying to take revenge on us or anything. They're just there, and they've killed billions. Why is it so difficult to kill them? It's not just the rate at which they can spread, but because of their really annoying ability to adapt. Viruses mutate. They evolve, giving rise to different versions of the same abomination. Usually this is no problem, just a little typo in its genetic sequence. But from the original coronavirus came the Alpha variant, which is 50% more contagious. From that came the Delta variant, which on top of that is 55% more contagious. And then most recently, Omicron. So just where did the original virus come from? God knows. Whether it was a spill from a lab or people getting too close to wild animals, we'll most likely never know. But I'm going to do something in this video that no one else has done. I'm going to give you a timeline of how I think the coronavirus appeared. And again, I have to stress, this is how I think it appeared. This has no backing from professionals. This is just research. This is what I think. Sometime in late 2019, a bat was captured and put on sale in a wet market in Wuhan, China. There, where conditions are cramped and very unsanitary, with crates full of animals literally stacked on top of each other, it came into contact with a lot of different creatures. Now, bats have their own array of random viruses. Most of them only hang around bat families and don't infect humans. But one day, a virus from the bat jumped onto a pangolin. Or possibly another small animal. Here's where things get interesting. Under favorable conditions, different viruses that come into contact with each other can undergo this thing called reassortment, a process of genetic recombination, trading bits and pieces of each other's genetic material until eventually a monster is born. This is how COVID came to be. On the 31st of December of that year, this new monster infected its first person, and from that one market in Wuhan, it spread to the world. But could it have been prevented? Some argue that coronavirus was inevitable. In a world that's moving so fast, where we can travel across the world in a single plane flight, some kind of pathogen was bound to appear. But ultimately, it's not about how we could have prevented it. Let's live in the present. It's about how we can slow down its spread by, of course, getting yourself and your family vaccinated for the sake of all of mankind. At the time of recording, over 4.8 billion people are fully vaccinated, which is incredible. I really hope you've learned something from this video, and stay tuned for the next episode of COVID series, which will be the finale. And of course, thank you so much for watching.